I'm sure you've heard me talk about 26shirts.com before, but just in case you haven't, let me fill you in. At 26 Shirts, they sell different limited edition sports-themed t-shirts every 2 weeks. After a shirt's prospective 2-week run is over, the design is retired and never sold again. They are operating out of Buffalo and now also offer options in Chicago. For every shirt sold, $8 is donated to a family in need. Not to a major charity or foundation, but to an actual family or individual in need. To show our support here at Chasing Cinema, when you buy a shirt, we will automatically put you into a drawing to win the next shirt free. That's right. You buy a shirt, $8 goes to help a family or individual in need, and you get a shot to win the next shirt absolutely free from Chasing Cinema. So go to www.26shirts.com and buy a unique Buffalo Sports Design t-shirt, help a great cause, and also get entered to win the next shirt absolutely free. Again, that's 26shirts.com, because you have the ability to help a complete stranger just because it's the right thing to do. www.26shirts.com. Help someone now. Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. I am your host, Jacob Toronto. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button on iTunes so each week, every episode that we do here at ChasingCinema.com is automatically downloaded into your iTunes, your iPhone, your iPod, your iPad, whatever you may be listening to podcasts on. And if you personally aren't an iTunes person, don't worry. You could always find all of our podcasts at the YouTube channel we run, with also offers our video reviews and updated daily from movie news, and that is youtube.com/chasing cinema. Today I am joined by a loyal, faithful co-host / best friend,
Louis Corzolo.
And today is a pretty big day for us. I don't know if I just sound really weird for some reason, or it's just the headphones I have on, but I sound really high. Not high as in like drugs high, but my voice pitch is high. Today is a huge day for us because it is our 3rd year anniversary doing this podcast. It is our 3rd year, 156 weeks, 156 episodes. Me and Louis, most of the time, me and Louis have sat down and talked about the world of motion picture. So today's going to be a little bit of a celebration, a little bit kind of a flashback, a little bit of an origin story. Me and Louis are going to quickly sit down and talk about what we remember from how Chasing Cinema kind of came to be, how our first episode ever went. I'm going to play some of our first episode for you, and then after that, I'm actually going to go immediately into a review for Mad Max Fury Road. But that's going to be from James, something that James Shue, that we and him filmed at AMC Town Square. So that's going to be separate. So me and Louis are probably going to chat for 20, 30 minutes, just talk about stuff. We're not going to go into movie news, not going to really talk about movies. We're just going to talk about our origin, kind of look back over the 3 years that we've been doing this, which is kind of scary. And then we'll play some of that old pilot for you. Please try your best not to shut it off because of how horrible it sounds. And then we'll hop into the review for Mad Max Fury Road. Louis Corzolo, it's been a little bit. How have you been?
I've been, surviving, as they say.
Today is Friday, Saturday now, but it is the last day of the semester. You are free for a few weeks before summer school because only, you would sign up for summer school after a hellacious semester. I've been busy watching movies. So how has your semester been?
It's been kind of brutal. Yeah. Upper division classes are no joke. A lot of writing, a lot of studying, but nothing that nonsense. That has definitely taken me away from you and the viewers of Chasing Cinema. And I do apologize, but maybe it's for the better because I have a feeling you get a lot of fan mail saying, thank God this Louis is off your show.
That's actually the opposite. We actually get a lot of questions about where you are.
Out of pity. That it's not really they're not really concerned about me or where I've gone, if I quit or stop. They're like, how's Louis? Oh, thank God. Oh, he's gone.
You should have your own series. Where's Louis? Like, where's Waldo?
I'm in 2 locations. UNLV or home.
Well, it's just crazy to think that Louis and I have been sitting down for about an hour every week to do this podcast. I mean, me and Louis obviously talk more than an hour a week because we're just naturally talking to each other most of the time. But to think about doing this show for 3 years, I mean, it's kind of shocking. It honestly doesn't feel that long. I was going through the episodes and I was like, that was that long ago? And Chasing Cinema in general. Chasing Cinema's launch date was March 19, 2012. So obviously the podcast started a little bit later than the actual website. But it's just kind of all like becoming into a blur of how everything started. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard this story before. If you're a first-time listener, thank you for tuning in. If you're not, maybe you've heard these stories before, but please enjoy and just join us down this walk of memory lane. Louis, do you remember the first time I approached you about making a movie website before we even had a name for it?
Well, I remember on several different occasions you came to me talking about furthering your involvement with film. Obviously, we had many conversations about film, but different, topics regarding film. But in the recent conversations, you wanted to do this more professionally, and then you came up with the idea of reviewing films, talking about films, making a website just dedicated for film. And you asked my opinion on it, and would I help in any way? And of course, since we've been friends since the third grade, of course, I supported you and your decisions and wanted to help in any way, and also because I love film. But the one thing I definitely remember about the origin of Chasing Cinema, now granted I might be jumping ahead some, so you might want to fill in the rest, is coming up with a name. And I definitely remember that conversation. We were on the phone and trying to come up with clever name titles for the website. And I remember that like it was yesterday.
No, actually, it's not really that far out. It was when I was taking a class. I don't think I was taking a class, but I was speaking with Jeff Krause, and I was telling him, because I remember talking to a few of my professors. I was like, I'm kind of in this place where, as much as I wanted to be a filmmaker, there's something telling me that I need to worry about films from the past more than I need to worry about the films that I want to make. And I was thinking, I kind of reviewed movies, in the past. Like for our broadcast, I went to midnight premieres and reviewed them. I wrote a few reviews for Shutter Island and Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. I wrote a few reviews and just wrote about movies because I was really passionate about things and I wanted to talk about them, express that. I didn't know how else to do it. So I was telling Dr. Krause this, a guest on our podcast many, many times, and he said, you should probably just start a website and post stuff. And he showed me all these websites, and I was like, you know what, it's kind of a good idea. I brought it to Louis, and, he kind of reinforced everything, and I said, all right. And the one thing I needed to do before I started anything was get a name, because we need to purchase a domain, we need to set everything up, and that's right. So it would lead us to actually sitting on the phone and talking about titles. And how did we discover this title?
Well, I don't know how this whole topic came up, but we're finding clever names that had a spin from film titles and what you wanted to do with the website. So yeah, I remember looking in my because I was in my room during this conversation, and I was looking at my DVDs, and I would come up good films instead of Goodfellas, or
Film Fella.
Yeah, stuff like that, and we kept going back and forth. Different, obviously, this was close to 3 years ago, so I don't remember all the titles we came up that didn't make the cut. But I think you should tell them how we arrived at Chasing Cinema.
I don't remember everything that we did, but I remember Back to the Film, which is a reference to Back to the Future, Gone with the Film, Film Fella,
yeah,
and Chasing Cinema. And Chasing Cinema has two meanings. James has sometimes said in the video reviews and stuff like that it kind of derives from Chasing Amy, which is true in a small sense. That was a title of a movie we just replaced because Louis and I are both going through our DVD collections and just writing down titles and either putting the word cinema, film, or movie in there and just trying to see what sounded clever. And I really like Gone with the Film or Dances with Film. I mean, there was a bunch of them.
There were so many we went through.
We had movies and Robin. We had Film Forever. You know what I mean?
I think you should have went with that one.
We had a lot of different things. We had Film 2, Back in the Habit. That's what we should have went with.
We should have.
We had Dr. Film Lover and How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. But eventually we came to Chasing Cinema. Mm-hmm. And to me, this worked not because I liked the name, even though it is catchy. Obviously, we stuck with it. And it is for Chasing Amy, but because one of my favorite directors of all time, Frank Capra, said that film is like heroin. And in a very more, I'm paraphrasing here, that once you get your first taste of really good cinema, of really good, i.e., heroin, he's using that metaphor, you're constantly chasing that high. You're constantly chasing that fix. And to me, Chasing Cinema symbolized that. Mm-hmm. So Chasing Amy kind of helped us put the names together, but that really signified what Chasing Cinema was. When people ask me what Chasing Cinema means, I say it is the journey of finding that next great film that's going to change us or affect you in a certain way. And that's the reason why we kind of went with it.
And I, being 2 years into this, website and this adventure, it really holds true, because obviously when we came up, when the name was Chasing Cinema was said, it is funny, it is clever, but actually going to film, looking for the next one, it is a chase, it is a journey, and the title, the website could not have a better name than Chasing Cinema.
That is one thing I've always felt very confident was the name of our website. I think it really kind of symbolizes everything that we stand for. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do this alone. And, I obviously, to be honest, I looked at other websites. I looked at what people were doing. My main focus obviously was Roger Ebert, who, like many, was a very, very influential person in my love for movies in general, way before I even said I wanted to be a critic and dedicate my life to cinema. And he had multiple writers. So I said, okay, I'll have me and Louis write, and we'll get other people. So that way we could disperse, because obviously there's a lot of movies to see, we'll disperse the work. So that eventually led into, okay, we'll review movies. But before this, I'm sure I've explained this to you guys before, to become a critic, well, okay, this is a long process, but in order to go to critic screenings, you need to be on a press list. And it's kind of hard to get on this press list because you need a viewership and you need what's what I'm looking for, Louis? You need a body of work mm-hmm. to show. We didn't have either. So we'd actually have to go to midnight premieres at midnight, go home and watch them. But I'm even getting ahead of myself. So I was like, okay, and when we could go see movies and stuff. So the first movie I ever reviewed was a Blu-ray that I watched. And that was George Clooney's Descendants. And we talk about it in our pilot episode, but I'll get to that in a second. And I published it at 7 a.m., March 19, 2012, because I was a procrastinator, which I still am. And I was like, okay, the 19th is when we're going up. I want it to be that date. And instead of having it published that night at midnight, I waited and didn't watch the movie till 4 a.m. Then went and wrote about it, published it, had Louis check it, republished it, and that was it. That was kind of the beginning. And my brother-in-law Derek bought the domain name for me. He kind of really helped me in the very beginning. Still helps me to this day, but more as a guide rather than doing things for me, which really makes it helpful because I was able to really kind of experience everything myself. I created the website. I designed everything. And it was just kind of fun. And, I really didn't know. I honestly didn't see being such a major part of my life as it is right now and how it is today. I literally wake up and go to sleep talking about Chasing Cinema, doing things for Chasing Cinema. And it's kind of crazy. It was a side thing that I wanted to do and kind of experiment with, and it turned into this. But anyway, I was heavily under the influence of Kevin Smith at this time, still am, But he and a few other people that I really enjoy had podcasts. And I obviously like to hear myself talk. And I said, okay, I want to do a podcast. Maybe people would follow us. And, who better to have on the podcast than my co-writer, who would be Louis. And to be honest, I don't even remember when I was like, hey, Louis, do you want to write with me? I think I just asked Louis for help. And the more and more we got into it, the more I had him help me. I think his biggest mistake was letting me publish his Apocalypse Now essay. Because we published that, and I was like, okay, so we'll just keep publishing stuff. And I just kind of brought him in. It was never like, Louis, come do this with me. And then he just kind of got hooked. And the podcast was really the final foot in the door, because now he had to be my co-host.
Mm-hmm.
So we say, okay, let's do a podcast. I had no idea how to do a podcast. Figured out how to set things up. And then I got with Louis, and we recorded our first episode, cleverly named Pilot. Parenthesis, one other parenthesis. Meaning our first episode. And me and Louis would go
what a
on
name.
And do an hour-long episode.
Mm-hmm.
Which is surprising, because for some people, an hour is a very long time, and it is. But me and Louis we've pretty much always done hour-longs. There's a few times we've kind of cut short because of other things that we were doing or whatever, but usually we always did a solid hour. But Louis, do you remember where we shot our first podcast or recorded?
Of course. How could I forget this? And it could be for a couple of podcasts too. I'm sure we did more than one.
I would say the first 7 or 8.
At least. So the beauty of Jake and I, our teamwork, is that, we tend to, procrastinate. We tend to, okay, let's see how this goes. We don't have a strict schedule. So when we started out, and still to this day, because it's 2:30 in the morning as we are recording this, we wait till night to record this podcast. And the problem with this is, we still, I still live at home with my family. Jake has other family members in his house as well. That, the rooms become limited in where we could record and be loud. So we're over at my house,
especially at 2 in the morning, or what?
Especially at 2. And this is close. This is probably like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night when we're filming this. And obviously everyone's sleeping because they're on a normal schedule besides us. So we had no choice but to go in Jake's Batmobile, let the Batmobile rest in peace, and film in what you said, May?
Yeah, I'm assuming it was around May. Yeah, April, May. So it was getting hot, obviously.
It was definitely getting warm, and we're cramped up in the front seats.
My 2000 two-door Ford Explorer
of his car that's parked outside my apartment,
which wasn't running because we didn't want. Okay, because this is before we discovered equipment, and luckily we got equipment pretty early. Mm-hmm. But we recorded on my Mac. No mic, no headphones. I sat in the driver's seat. Louis sat in the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
And we fit the Mac in the middle console and simply recorded raw, unedited on the MacBook and through GarageBand.
Yeah. And like you said, it was getting hot, so we were definitely uncomfortable. We were getting a little warm.
So it was uncomfortable, and then after the hour, we'd get out of the car, and we would just be like, oh my God, just all cramped up, all sweaty. It was brutal. And I was like, okay, see you next week. And we talked about it should be every hour, every 30 minutes. Should we do it every week? And it just kind of started happening, and not so much in the pilot, because the pilot has a lot of introducing what Chasing Cinema is, but we started jumping like at huge goals. We did like our first episodes are like the best westerns ever made, the best Pacino movies ever made, best sequels, best performances. Like we jumped in it and we gave away the whole pudding pretty early.
Yeah,
I look at how we do things now, and it's so different. So when I play this clip for you that's coming up in a little bit of the first episode, It's not going to be the whole thing. If you want to go back to the whole thing, you go obviously on our iTunes and go and check out that pilot episode or chasingcinema.com dot period. No, I'm sorry. chasingcinema.com dot podbean, podbean.com, because sometimes I'm not sure if iTunes actually has our whole entire. It should still, but I'm not sure. But just in case, you could go on the Podbean. But it's all available on chasingcinema.com. You go to chasingcinema.com. Right there in the left-hand corner, you have a playlist, a little black box, and that has every episode on there. So just scroll down to the very bottom, and episode 156, well, it'll say number 156 will be episode 1 pilot. But I'm going to play some of you for that. Me and Louis just winged it, and it worked. And we've been doing it ever since, which is pretty crazy, just because Louis has no desire to do this. As a career. Louis does it to help me out. I think the one big beneficial thing for Louis is that when I told Louis I wanted to do a podcast, he thought I was crazy, because Louis not much of a speaker. He doesn't like talking and like hearing people and having people listen to him talk and kind of having the camera on it. Well, not camera, but in general. But
I hate the public eye. If I can say in the background, like, it's great. Like, to put in a sports metaphor, I'd rather be the guy behind the scenes giving the sportscaster the statistics to make him look good than be the guy on TV that says, this guy suits this percentage on this day. I'd rather give the people the information. And I don't like the public's eye. I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like talking. So when Jake said, let's do a podcast, I was like, no, this sounds crazy. But like most of Jake's ideas, he eventually persuades me, manipulates me, whatever.
Usually manipulates, guilt trips him.
And I say, okay, fine. If this goes up in smokes, it's on you, not on me. I warned you. And I guess it's worked so far. And I think I definitely know it's more because of him than it is because of me. Well,
when you listen to this first couple minutes, you could just tell how different Louis is. So hopefully, in a way, he's really and obviously he has. come out of his shell and been able to speak more. But it's so funny because we tried so hard to sound so professional. We wanted to set a standard, and even though we still kind of goof and laugh at each other, so we make it enjoyable. We were just going so hard on trying to impress everybody that our voices were totally lost. Not literally, obviously, but in a metaphor sense, that we weren't speaking as ourselves, we weren't being ourselves. And then as our wonderful journey progressed, that just kind of stopped happening. So after we did the car, we got promoted to garage.
We did a couple in the garage.
A garage, and then we got promoted to a nursery.
Yes,
and that echoed, and that we had to be real quiet in anyway.
Because a baby was sleeping nearby. And
then we started doing your room at the other house, and then we eventually started doing your room at this house. Am I forgetting anywhere?
No, that's in an occasion we would do, if we had a guest on.
Oh,
and I guess just to jump in again, we would go to UNLV Library, which is probably like the best location for a podcast.
Yeah, it is good, but it does have terrible sound, so it picks up like people going through other doors and stuff. But we just recorded one with Jeff Krause, and it came out sounding really great. But I would listen to podcasts, and we'd be in the garage, and we'd hear the water heater go, or the AC. And, I'm not saying our sound is perfect now, because I know it's not, and I still know it needs improvements, but I know we don't sound like that anymore. When you hear my voice introduce Chasing Cinema, go back and listen to the beginning of this podcast and listen to how different it sounds, and you just tell me. Because I'm sure most of you are going to be like, I can't listen to this. I was kind of embarrassed listening to it.
Those earlier episodes, the background noise, the rawness of it adds grit. It adds layers. If you want to listen to a perfectly sound, go to to like ESPN or AMC, whoever has this, Talking Dead. That's, professional sound, but we got grit. We're an independent film. It's beautiful.
It's pretty awesome, because I think it honestly became more about where we can shoot over how we sound and quality, which probably wasn't the best thing, because at one point, me and Louis recorded outside UNLV, and you could literally hear grasshoppers chirping, and you could literally just hear like the wind blowing, and we're out there recording because we just had nowhere else to go.
Out on location.
And we just had to do it. And it's so funny to kind of listen to those and think back, like, and just how everything, like our format has changed. And I mean, not too much, but I mean, we were tackling more of like lists every week
or a certain topic of the week.
Or a certain topic. We had people on, we still have people on, but now we are obviously more catering towards what we should be in filmmakers, things like that. But we still have awesome guests, and it's just crazy to think that we've shot 156 of these. You know, it's 156 hours, which is, I have no idea how long. But I mean, how many 156 hours divided into days?
156 hours divided in days? Are you challenging my math skills right now?
I'm challenging you to how quick you are to going on the computer or on the calculator. But as you do that, but I mean, honestly, it was something that was so cool of an experience and something that I cherish all the time. I mean, I think back to those memories. I go back and listen to the podcast. I know Louis doesn't really like going back and listening to them because he doesn't like hearing them his own voice, which is silly. But go on.
It's not silly. It's a fact. It's 156 divided by 7 is 22.28571 and
why divided by 7?
You said divided by 7 just now.
No, it should be divided by 24 because 156 hours.
Okay. Well, you said 7 for whatever reason.
Okay.
And that's 2.33333333.
2.3. That's it.
156 divided by 24. Okay, this one came out to 6.5. So I don't know why I pressed in the other one. I'm better doing it in my head and trusting
6.5. So total, you can listen to the Chasing Cinema podcast for 6.5 days straight, no breaks. It's scary, but at the same time, to me, sounds really like unimpressive. Like that doesn't sound like a
minimal.
lot. But that's actually is a lot. If you listen to straight 24 hours a day, you know, that's 24 hours a day.
That's a lot of Chasing Cinema.
That's what it's about.
It's
so funny because even then we talk about if people didn't like us, they probably turned us off already.
We've said that. I wonder how many times. Like, I wish we could go back and like find out how many times we said that because I'm sure we said it so much. Like, we probably lost the people right now.
We did get into some weird conversations. And we did get in some weird arguments. I remember one of our biggest arguments, or one of my favorite moments, is the Dark Knight versus Toy Story trilogies, and which one would last longer. Do you remember that? I don't even remember which sides we were on.
From my recollection, because this was so radically different, I picked Toy Story. You picked Dark Knight, which blew my mind. And that got me angry because this man loves animation, and now he's just saying, "Oh no, no Toy Story. It's all about the Dark Knight trilogy." That got me a little upset inside because I'm never on the side of animation.
We argued a lot, and it's funny though is that we don't really argue so much anymore. Well, we never really had a huge difference in opinion.
No,
it was very rare we'd come across something where we totally disagreed. So, as much as we wanted this to be like a contrasting opinion, we don't really have contrasting opinions. No. And we've been friends so long that we just don't really argue. Well, we argue, but not in the way about a movie or anything like that. I mean, we usually agree on a lot of stuff. But I know we talked about I'm sure we talked about wrestling with you guys all the time. That's how me and Louis met, was actually Inline meeting a wrestler. And I'm sure countless other random things. But it has been a very, very fun ride this far. I am excited to see where it goes. To think that we've been doing this for 3 years is just nuts, and to see how far we've come. Again, the best way to do it is that you're going to hear how far we've come by listening to the first episode of the podcast in a minute. And again, which is going to immediately turn into our review of Mad Max Fury Road, which was actually shot on set at AMC Town Square. So there is a lot of noise and a lot of background noise. There's no mics on us. We're just kind of we're filming. And if you want to see the video of that, you can actually go on youtube.com/chasingcinema and find all the videos, where I also update daily on movie news, 5 videos a day. Make sure to subscribe to that. But we've got to experience some really cool things from movies. Me and Louis luckily hasn't had to pay for a movie in a very, very long time. We've been blessed with that. Wonderful, wonderful privilege. I mean, it's just been awesome. And Louis, I can't thank you enough for being a part of that in this whole entire journey, going through all that. And especially, again, the fact that this is not what you want to do with your life. This is actually my career path, and I just happen to drag the doctor along with me.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's with, my best friend, my brother, and it's a hobby that we both, a mutual hobby that we both, well, more of a hobby for me, your life, your passion for you, but a mutual interest of us that we could, talk and discuss. And, I owe you a thank you for allowing me to be a nuisance, a burden, a problem, a parasite of Chasing Cinema.
Well, you're welcome anytime. And don't worry, Louis not going anywhere just yet. He's still a while away from being a doctor. So until he has his white jacket on and his stethoscope, I don't plan on having him not be a guest. Though we see him though it's kind of a little bit more of a rarity. Well, not a rarity, but not as often as we'd like.
No.
He's not going nowhere. Louis, before we wrap up here, and
yes.
Cheers to our 3 years and hopefully 3 plus many more ahead. Do you have a favorite memory from the podcast? Do you have a specific moment that you think about and you always kind of laugh, or you just really remember being very cool? Besides meeting your idol, Josh Bell.
That was definitely definitely a highlight because I do love Josh Bell, and meeting him and talking to him. I was so nervous that podcast. I'm nervous every podcast, but I was definitely nervous that one. I was nervous if Dr. Krause came on because it was like the first time, talking to, a doctor of film.
Yeah, film scholar, yeah.
And I remember our conversation, I don't think this made the podcast because this was before. And, I'm telling him, oh God, I'm so nervous. And this, this very nice, softly spoken man said, don't worry, you're going to be fine. And I'm thinking, and I said to him, of course you're going to say that. You're a teacher. This is what you have to say. So I think of those moments. But I also think about, I don't remember what podcast, but we had a great laugh of this is when I spilled the beans on The Dark Knight with Marion Cotillard's character. And I in mid-sentence, after I said she was playing this character, I kind of gasped really loud, oh my God, I just did that. And we had a good laugh, and you doing your French pronunciation of Marion Cotillard.
Marion Cotillard de Les Miserables.
Yeah, that was great.
No, I think I know what you're talking about, but you didn't gasp. You went, ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
You were like, yeah, and then she goes, ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
I remember that. I don't remember specifically when it happened because we talked about Dark Knight for a while at that time frame. That was funny. I remember we had a lot of slip ups and stuff like that. Has always been really funny. We've had the opportunity again, surprisingly enough, we had the opportunity to do a lot of cool stuff. I think, interviewing David Schmoller.
Yes.
And seeing his latest film, which is now finally on DVD, which is available. You could get it's now called Two Little Monsters. Since the DVD came out, they've changed the title. Two Little Monsters on Amazon. You could check it out by David Schmoller. We saw it. He let us be one of the first people to see it. We reviewed him. We had him on. We talked to him. We've had some pretty amazing guests from Will Edwards to James Shue to Jeff Krause to Josh Bell to paranormal investigators. The other sides, our dear friends Alex and Mike. We've met some really awesome people on this journey, and it's honestly been just a very, very fun ride. And I honestly could say that I'm glad this is what I'm working and dedicating my life to. Granted, this is only the beginning of something, and it's kind of crazy to think that this is only the beginning chapter. And when I say dedicating my life to it, I don't mean necessarily this podcast and just this website, but really kind of chasing cinema literally is always going to be my passion in life. And I'm so grateful to be able to experience with the people that I've had So many great episodes. So I've had Elvis Mitchell, a huge mentor of mine, on the podcast. I interviewed my girlfriend before she was even my girlfriend, and to break the ice. And that episode's a riot because she ever want to listen to it. And I know there was more. I know I've interviewed some really. I mean, there's been some. We had a guy from the Tank TV show on.
Yeah, that was great.
We had the Stewarts on. I mean, we've had a lot of just fun. We've had friends and it's so funny because I think about how we used to go about things and how foolish we were. Like, we wanted to be so professional. But we had my friend Matt, who knows nothing about movies and just likes Arnold Schwarzenegger, to talk about his favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
That was great. Bro.
If this was a podcast I listened to, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, this is a waste of time. But at the same time, we've also had upcoming filmmakers, some guys who are working on some really great projects. Most recently, Sean Otsubo, who has really delivered some amazing projects as of late. It's just been a really fun journey, and to think it's been 3 years is crazy, but I'm already looking ahead to seeing what we're going to be doing in the next 3 years and how we're going to change things for the better. I've been saying that, we're going to change some things up, and I'm trying to do my best to do so. And I don't mean major changes, but I do hopefully plan on renovating the website, changing it up, making it a little bit more professional, putting a lot more effort into the website. I wanted to do movie news and make sure that I had a daily update, which I'm doing now. The podcast, I do want to get more guests on, which we've been really good at lately. We've been really good this past, probably since December, with Josh and Michael Smith. And Michael Smith has been on here countless times, who is just a great friend that I happen to meet through what we do, who's an awesome guy. Louis and I went to lunch with him. Mm-hmm. One of the sweetest guys ever. Michael, I miss you. I hope you're listening. But again, I don't know what was I saying now? No, I don't remember what I was saying.
Changing the website.
Oh, changing the website. We want to get more guests on the podcast. I want to talk to younger and independent filmmakers and people who are aspiring. I want to be able to talk to people and really talk about cinema that people don't always get to see. I want to talk about the journey that we're going on. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. This is literally what I live for. So thank you, all of you listening, for really putting your time out to listen to us either at work, on your way home, from work and school, in your car, whenever you're listening to this on, or if you're just listening in the background because you're supporting either Louis and I appreciate it. Louis, I appreciate you for doing all the things you've done to help us get to this point. My girlfriend Samantha, my family, Tony and Nancy, obviously everyone who's really, Gino, Alex, everyone in my family has been really, really supportive. And just really been able to propel what we created and what was very small, which now has a pretty decent following through social media and readership. It allowed me to get a job writing for an actual paper. Granted, it's not the New York Times, but it's a pretty popular paper out here. It's a pretty well read paper, and I'm a senior staff writer. It enabled me to do that. A month ago, I was able to sit down and interview the directors and filmmakers behind Up and Monsters, Inc. and The Fantastic Four and Paul Feig and some really amazing people. And I would have never had this opportunity if it wasn't for this podcast, this website, who I cannot say would have happened if it wasn't for Louis. So Louis, thank you above all for all that you've done.
Thank you. And I think it is also important to note that, obviously your passion is film. You love doing what you're doing, but deep down you are a great human being who reflects good on society, because look what you're doing for Race for the Cure the past 2 years. You've done that. You've made Chasing Cinema proud by doing that. Doing 26 Shirts, a great organization in Buffalo. You're selfless in promoting that as well. So it couldn't happen to a better kid. Couldn't happen to a better website. And I think the fans of film in Vegas who are listening definitely are lucky to have you.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. Getting kind of emotional here, just because I didn't think it was going to get kind of as serious as I feel right now. But it's true. I've really kind of seen something that I've really put my heart and soul into kind of grow, and it's pretty rewarding. So, but like I said, I wouldn't be able to deal with all the people in my life who've been so supportive. So I thank all of you. And Louis, as much as I appreciate you, I still plan on punishing you and making you a part of this podcast for the next, until you get, like I said, your white coats and your stethoscope. And hopefully,
well, we still could talk about like Pat's Adams Awakenings.
It's true.
It's true. It's still related.
Top 5 Doctor
degree.
Movies.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, why don't we take a step back in the time machine, hit the DeLorean, go to 88 miles per hour, and fly ourselves back to the past 3 years ago, and listen to some of our podcasts that we recorded in my car when Louis and I were both shy and so unsure of what we were doing. And again, thank you guys so much for paying attention, for tuning in, for subscribing to ChasingCinema.com, for subscribing to our YouTube channel, for liking our Facebook, for following us on Twitter, for liking myself on Instagram. Anything that you could do helps, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys for reading The Rebel Yell. All that fun stuff. Thank you guys for donating to Race for the Cure. Thank you guys for buying shirts at 26shirts.com. Everything that you guys have done to show support, I appreciate it. But now let's take this mood to a lighter place and laugh about how foolish we were back in a time, and we'll automatically jump into our review of Mad Max Fury Road. So, for the 156th time, Louis, do you have anything else to say?
No. Why ruin it?
For the 156th time, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Jacob Toronto, joined by loyal, faithful co-host, / best friend,
Louis Corazolo.
And please continue chasing cinema. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Cinema. This is a brand new podcast brought to you by ChasingCinema.com. I'm Jacob Toronto.
I'm Louis Corazolo.
And we are starting today just to kind of describe ourselves, doing a Q&A from the website, actually. I want to get to kind of know you guys since this is our first podcast ever and the first podcast for ChasingCinema.com. So we're going to kind of go into things and see what you guys had questions for us, whys, and what you wanted to learn about us, and kind of establish ourselves. If it's your first time listening to this podcast, well, it is obviously. If it's your first time learning about Chasing Cinema is a website that me and Louis Corazolo created to kind of review over films and write essays and articles about movies that we love, and just kind of really get our love for cinema on there. And we wanted to kind of share it with the world. And now we think that you would like us so much, hopefully, that you will listen to us weekly in your car, on the way home, or at work, or whatever it may be. So
they would have to like us.
I would hope, because if we're not likely already, I mean, they're going to turn us off now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been a minute and 20 seconds.
It's long gone
we
by now.
Probably aren't that likely, but I mean, that's understandable. Anyway, so for those of you, again, who don't know, our website is www.chasingcinema.com. We've made it a point to, quote-unquote, chase cinema because it's what we love, and it's really hard to actually ever get enough of what you love in this life. So we're just going to invite you to take this journey with us, and hopefully you will join us in chasing cinema. Do you have anything to add before we get into questions?
Enjoy the ride.
Okay, what movies have you seen this week? That's what we'll start off. Have you seen anything good or new or interesting?
Do reviews.
No, I just mean, but what have you seen in general? You said, what have you seen lately and everything like that?
We saw Dark Shadows.
Yes, we did see Dark Shadows.
I watched The Descendants for the first time.
Oh, okay. What did you think of The Descendants?
Lovely film. Absolutely phenomenal.
I think that was one of the first movies we reviewed. Actually, that was the review we did right before we launched the website.
Well, you did.
I wrote it. I think it was literally 6:45 in the morning, and I was just like, I need to get this out. The website should have launched. Mm-hmm. We need to go. I wanted to be out by 8 a.m. and I posted it and I read it because I just watched it that night.
Yes,
and but I did love that movie. What did you think?
Well, first, when I think of the movie, pure, powerhouse performances by Clooney and Shailene Woodley. Woodley. Yeah. She was amazing in it. I fell in love with her.
Yeah, I thought she did really, really good.
She was great, and Clooney just proves to everyone that he is a great actor.
Yeah, I think that too. I don't know, because a lot of people said that she outshined him. I don't know about that far. I actually really liked his performance in that movie, as I said in that review. I don't know if I would say that.
I think they were neck and neck. I think, like, in your review, you said they had great chemistry.
Yeah, they did. They had amazing chemistry in their scene.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people have been hating on Clooney, saying that he's the same character, or he plays himself in every movie, just different situations. And I disagree. I think he's a really good actor out there. And he really got into this character, I believed.
Definitely didn't play George Clooney.
No. Last time I checked,
Robin, because Batman and Robin, he wasn't George Clooney. So,
well, Clooney, he's single. In this movie, he's married.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he would have been in that situation to begin with.
No. I mean, yeah. I think that movie was so. I don't know why. A lot of people ask me why that movie just meant so much to me as far as performance-wise. I just thought George Clooney just reacted so honestly. Like, instead of screaming or crying, there's a scene where he finds out a pretty twisted secret, and he just starts running down this hill. And it doesn't sound that clever or interesting, but when it actually happens, it just seems so real and honest.
Natural.
It's funny, but it's not at the same time. And it did come off very natural.
Yeah. And the movie had a great balance of comedy and drama.
Yeah, it was
Alexander Payne did a great job of keeping those two separate, but at the same time switching the pace so gently. So nice.
It was a really good film. That was probably one of my favorite films of 2011.
Oh, yeah. Definitely top 5.
Yeah. What was your favorite movie last year?
Favorite movie last year was probably Hugo.
Yeah, it was mine too.
Hugo. Scorsese. Never
Wow, we're looking for some debate. We need to argue.
Okay. Well,
no.
You want to do the top 5?
No, we can't.
Because I have my top 5. I don't know if you have your top 5.
We'll do that.
I have my top 5 ready. It's locked and loaded. I'm ready to go, sir.
Hit me with your top 5.
Okay. ABC order.
Oh my God! First, I don't even think I have 5. I don't know if I can do all 5.
You're slacking.
That's your top 3.
Top 3. That messes up my ABC order. Because I'll stick to it because I know my favorite movie last year is Hugo. We'll just stick to the favorite movies last year. I mean, Hugo to me was just such a love letter to movies. To cinema, yes.
And being someone that really loves movies, I just think that movie totally grabbed my heart and threw it on screen. The artist was really, really good too, as far as that sense, but I felt definitely more connected with Hugo.
Absolutely. But
I was a big fan of the artist.
Yeah, great movie.
So, I think that, top 5, I have to really think about it, because that's tough. And then there's so many we didn't see. Like, I didn't see A Separation.
I know. I want to see A Separation.
So, that was something else, too, that we have to think about. But we will do that one day. But, yes, Hugo was my favorite movie last year. Hugo was amazing.
Breathtaking.
Oh, and my God. And Sacha Baron Cohen totally surprised me in that movie. I didn't think his...
Change of pace.
Yeah, nice definitely. I was so glad to see him in that. And then, he goes and does Dictator. And it's like, oh, well...
Back to the
back to the drawing
habits.
Board. Yeah.
But it's just been announced he's going to play for Freddie Mercury in the Queen biopic.
Really? Is that like confirmed?
That is confirmed.
You're not leading my viewers and listeners astray.
That is confirmed. It was confirmed on IMDb.
Oh, nice.
Another plug for another movie, great movie website.
You're giving them a bunch of plugs.
But it's going to be produced by Tribeca's production.
Okay.
Robert De Niro's production company.
Oh, really?
Yes. He is playing Freddie Mercury.
Oh, nice. That should be interesting. I can actually really see that.
They kind of look alike.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Especially the mustache and stuff. I
think he could pull it off. I know I read and it said it's going to be more about the singing aspect and like his life, not about the whole HIV and his death. They're going to stay away from that. They're going to
kind of stick to the band. So.
Yes.
That's good.
But that should be interesting.
Yeah. That is. Because, that's a role that you'd want because I think it's going to, make your career or break your career.
Yes.
Because so many actors get that one role to kind of separate themselves and kind of stand above the crowd. For me, Jamie Foxx was nothing special until he did Ray. Mm-hmm. And I thought Ray really changed my perspective of him as an actor. Even though I don't think he's done anything after Ray that really blew me away.
Horrible Bosses.
Yeah, no, see, stuff like that. I don't remember. That's the thing. If I can't remember it, then obviously it wasn't enough to... I saw Ray multiple times. That movie stuck me for a long time. That was one of my favorite movies of that year. This could either really do good for... him or it could
it just takes one and
prove that he's gonna be doing dumb mockumentaries for his life.
But I do think that the band supports it. Queen,
Oh yeah, they're backing
they're backing it, so that's good. He has the right people backing it.
Any word on director? Or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Gotcha.
Still in the early stages.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Speaking of biopics, how excited are you for Alfred Hitchcock?
Excited.
What is it? The Making of Psycho?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Great cast it has.
I saw that picture. If you guys haven't seen the picture, if you just Google Alfred Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins, or Anthony Hopkins is Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
You see Anthony Hopkins, who's going to be playing Alfred Hitchcock in makeup, and he looks so great. I was so excited when I saw that. Anthony Hopkins is one of my favorite actors of all time, ever since I saw Silence of the Lambs when I was a kid. To see him play one of my favorite directors of all time is just so awesome, and I don't think he'll do it wrong at all.
I just want to say an early Oscar prediction has to be the makeup.
Yeah, I hope so.
They did a great job.
I could definitely see them getting an Oscar nom for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm more excited to see the Abraham Lincoln biopic, not the Vampire Hunter.
Not the Vampire Hunter.
No, but the Steven Spielberg with Daniel Day-Lewis as the 16th president.
That's another one. I'm just like, I could see Daniel Day, like I could see Abraham Lincoln looking like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah,
like I just see that happening. You know, I can just imagine it, where other movies and stuff like that have hit you by a storm.
Well, at first they had Liam Neeson playing Lincoln.
See, I can see that, but I don't think I'd believe it as much as Daniel Day-Lewis.
Agreed. I think they hit a gold mine.
But then again, it all depends on makeup and everything too. I don't know.
Well, have you seen the picture?
I have not seen the picture.
It's pretty. It's him eating at a diner, and I think.
Oh no, I did see this picture. Yeah. Okay.
And he looked pretty intense.
He did look pretty. Yeah,
he's in character. He's in method. So that's to be. I'm really looking forward to that.
That'll be good as well. Well, let's see what the readers of Chasing Cinema have to ask for us. So hopefully they could get to better know us, or hopefully trust us even more. All right. Our first question comes from Nick Dubas. What inspired you guys the most to make this a passion in your life? Was it a certain movie or a particular scene that made you fall in love with cinema? Jesus, what a broad question.
Yes. A good one, too.
That is a really good one.
Very tough.
It's a really good question. I don't think it was a particular scene. I could say now, though, I could look back and I could pinpoint particular scenes that really show that I really, really love movies. For instance, I was watching not a documentary, but an interview with Steven Spielberg and John Carpenter. I'm sorry. I was just watching an interview with Steven Spielberg and what the hell is his name?
John Williams.
Composer John Williams on AFI's master class or show or something along those lines. And it was just them talking about doing the works together and John Williams composing for him. And they showed a scene from Vertigo. And like there are certain scenes from any Alfred Hitchcock movie that I can name that just mean so much to me. I could just literally watch these two scenes and I fall in love with them. They're just so powerful. I'm trying to think of just like amazing pinpointed scenes. It's so hard, but I have so many. It's not hard because I can name them. It's just because which ones would I say that would really mark? But as far as getting me into movies, I don't know. Do you have anything? Well, I think I have to kind of ponder that question.
That's tough, but to pinpoint one particular actor or director or movie that really got me into film has to be the collaboration between Scorsese and Robert De Niro.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Though watching them two work together is unlike
how early did you start watching those movies, though?
I remember
I didn't see Taxi Driver till a little bit later in my life. But granted,
if I remember correctly, first time I saw Taxi Driver was with you.
Yes,
but I was 14. I want to say 14. Yeah. And that. I wasn't too crazy about it the first time.
No, and neither was I. And I think that's what's so crazy about when you actually come for something and start learning about movies.
I was unimpressed.
I think I was right at that point where I was actually becoming a movie lover, and I was buying, I was going to Best Buy every week and buying a ton of movies, and just popping in movies that I heard of or I've seen or anything. And I was just trying to. I think that's when I decided that this is what I want to do, and that's what I love.
But Taxi Driver kind of flew by me that first time.
Yes.
And I think that I feel so bad. I'm so mad now. Because now every time I watch it, I've already seen it. And I have to go back to that one time I've seen it where it's just like, I didn't really. But I love Taxi Driver.
Oh.
It wasn't my favorite, though. I'll argue that one. Me and you
later.
As far as their collaboration, Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Raging Bull hits me home every time. I think
masterpiece.
That's my favorite film the two collaborated on, and probably one of my favorite films of the 80s. And
beyond.
Actually probably one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
De Niro's performance in there has to be one of my favorite performances of all time. The movie takes my breath away.
It's hard to go wrong with that film.
Yeah, it is.
It's perfect.
But would you say that was the movie that actually made made movies a big part of your life, or?
Taxi Driver, yes, because like I said, the first time, unimpressed. But it stuck with me. And no other movie stuck with me. I thought about it even after. Even I didn't like it, but it was on my mind. And then my cousins flew out in the summer. And we were just at the house, not doing anything, and we decided to watch a movie. And I wanted them to watch Taxi Driver. And we popped it in, and this was my second time watching it. And I got it. I got what it was about. So I have to say that changed it for me. But going back on the 13, 14 age, reading one of Martin Scorsese's book, he said that 13, 14, that's a critical age. That's the most important age period for movies, because you get to experience and try different things more, different genres and different types of movies. So he believes that period is very critical in your movie watching life. Do you agree?
No, I totally agree, because I think that's exactly when I fell in love with movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing about me, though, is the movies that made me fall in love with the world of cinema weren't good movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Buffalo with my cousin at the same time. We were just up watching movies, and we watched every night. We'd stay up the whole entire night and watch movies. And I just really realized, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is my life. This has to be what I'm living for, because now, if I didn't have that experience, I don't know what I'd be doing with my life. I had things that I like to do. I had hobbies, but movie is essentially what I live for. If it wasn't for those few movies that we watched, I'll give you an example. We watched The Lost Boys. And granted, it's not a movie I'm ashamed to say that I love, but it's definitely not my favorite movie of all time, or even on that list, because of how much I've learned since then. But that was the movie that essentially put me on the track to where I am now. So I have to give credit where credit's due.
You know, kill me, I haven't seen Lost Boys to this day.
You missed out on a lot of fun 80s stuff, it seems like. A lot of the cheesy stuff.
What was the one with, was it Charlie Sheen and his brother, Men at Work? Or
oh, yeah.
What was that?
Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen's Men at Work.
Yeah, you like that one.
Yeah, that was a fun movie. Those are movies you just... I guess because you're growing up with them, or whatever the excuse is. There's some reason where, for me at least, there is always room for excuses for really bad movies, and some of them are just okay. That was actually another one of our questions from Perry Bruno. He asked us, what's our favorite bad movie to watch, because it's so bad that it's actually fun to watch.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
You go
bad.
First.
I don't know.
See, because I have a lot of them. I could name a lot of horrible movies that I've seen that I just love because of how bad they are.
Yeah, well, I love the Batman and Robin one with Clooney.
Batman and Robin.
I love that
definitely go on the list.
I love that movie for so many reasons.
Oh, my goodness. Being a Batman person, I could admit, sure, I watched it and I don't mind it because I'm a Batman person, but at the same time, because I'm a Batman person, I hated the movie.
Yeah.
But there is something just innocent and just I can't take you too seriously. That's just funny about it. There's something that I think with Arnold's acting and stuff.
I think 8 times out of 10, I would pick that one over The Dark Knight.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Put it on the board. Put it on the board. Put it on the records.
We just lost half our listeners.
I know. I don't know why, but I can enjoy that movie so much.
Like you said, but there's something about it that's so bad that it's funny.
It's just attractable.
It is. It's just really fun to watch. It's a really good time. The the one that I can think of always comes to me. It's had to be something that I discovered. I couldn't even actually. I'm trying to think about how I watched it the first time. I think it was My Cousin Buffalo, actually. And the movie was in 1985, and it's called The Last Dragon. And the movie is directed by Michael Schultz. And the movie is just, it's about this kid who he's trying to grow up and be a karate master, and it's just ridiculous. It's Chaz Palminteri is actually in that movie. Mm-hmm. He plays one of the goons and gets his ass kicked. And it was so out there. I mean, it's just so bad. It's hilarious. There's a scene where they're actually fighting, and the guys start glowing, and when they're kicking and fighting and stuff, and it's just so bad. But I mean, it's a movie that I can remember and I can watch, and I can just have a good time watching. So I think that was really a good question.
But what do you think is the line from like just a bad movie that you can't stand to a bad movie that's enjoyable?
It's a really good answer. I guess it's how serious the movie takes itself. Uh-huh. I think that there is a way to. That's not true, because I would assume that every director tries to be serious with everything they make.
Yeah, you would hope so.
I would hope so, but then again, watching some of these movies, I wonder how. Uh-huh. It's a genuinely good question, but I just think that watching a movie. Okay, here's the line. If I'm watching it and I'm not laughing, or if I'm not enjoying it, it just really feels like I'm there if I'm counting the minutes, 2 hours to end, or I'm sitting there, like, ending up pulling out my phone because I'm so bored, I think that's what makes a difference. Where Last Dragon, I'm in. Like, even though I don't, like... even though I may not believe everything, or... that I might be criticizing everything, I'm there. Like, they have me hooked. I will watch Last Dragon, and I'm in every minute of it, either cheering or booing, and I have a blast with it. I think it's just that kind of way if it's how it's your reaction.
Yeah, if it's enjoyable or dreadful.
Yeah, and I just think it's just kind of like when someone falls on their face. Uh-huh. I know, but it is like someone could trip and fall on their face, and it's funny. It depends on who it is. I mean, if put it this way: if a 75-year-old woman falls on her face, it's really sad, and it's like, oh god, okay, this is serious, and it's just not good. Mm-hmm. If you know, an 18, 19-year-old kid falls while they're trying to act cool, it's funny, and it just works. There's something about it that just kind of says, wow, that was good. That's a perfect example of just how two of the same scenarios with a little bit of differences can actually change your opinion or emotion. Let's see what our next question is. From Evan Smalls. Evan asks, what is going through your heads as you're breaking down the review process? What is the actual process? It's a good question, too. I think me and you go about it two different ways.
Yes.
I actually do take notes when I watch a movie.
That's true. I've seen it.
I've been doing that for actually kind of a long time. I always want to plot point certain things that remind me of certain things that I need to talk about. Or being someone that wants to review movies, I have to kind of remember those things. And one of my close friends asked me, well, if it's good enough, you'll remember anyway, or if it's bad enough, you'll remember. But that's not always true. And I think to make certain points, when you have all these things written down and noted, then you could connect them all. For instance, if I want to elaborate how the soundtrack in one scene compares to a soundtrack in another scene, or something like that, I have to have comparison of things to go over. I could just say soundtrack, but then I don't know what I'm really talking about, or in my head I'm like, oh, what was that scene, or how did that song that I really liked? What was that line that he said? What did that shot look like? What was the lighting of that shot like? Mm-hmm. Even though I tend not to get so much into cinematography in my reviews, more performance-wise than anything.
So you have to pay attention to the small details.
Well, yeah, I think, but even though I could say that in my reviews, even though I mention them sometimes, I'm not as strong on cinematography or things about that as much as I should be. But I don't want to make the review too impersonal. I think my goal to doing this website is to make this feel personal. I wanted to make it seem like as professional as possible, but at the same time, I don't want it to make it seem like I'm going over your head, or not saying that people don't know what that is. Because even if you do, I just don't want it to be too technical, or people are like, why does that even matter? Granted, it all does. My number one biggest pet peeve, being someone who loves movies so much, and when we're talking about a movie or someone asks me about a movie that I don't like or I like, they're just like, well, don't you think you're looking too much into it? And one of my professors, I'll never forget it, he says here, if anyone ever asks you that, ask them this question. If you were given $100,000 or whatever X amount of money, I'm not too good with money in cars, and you were to make your ideal perfect car, start to finish, would anything in the car be an accident?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great point. So anything in a movie, chances are it's not an accident. I thoroughly do not believe that anything is an accident.
Yeah.
So everything has to be analyzed. Everything has to be analyzed when seeing a movie. Because if you sit here and tell me you like a movie because of just the story, well, then you've only read a few chapters of the book. You haven't looked at the whole entire book. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And plus, there's much more layers to a movie than just a story, too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's so many aspects to think about.
Yeah.
But, I just want to stay on a very personal level and just, give people nothing too out there and just be, like I said, very honest with people. As a quick roundup, I honestly just feel that I want to be very personal with my audience, and I want to develop readers and listeners, obviously now with the podcast, and I just want to keep it on a very personal level. Louis, what about you?
I do in a different way than you, I guess, per se. When I watch the movie, I just want to see if I enjoy it or if I don't like it, and then after just gather my thoughts.
Yeah, you have to give it like a period of time. Where you think about it.
I don't take notes in the movies. I probably can't write as neat and nice as you in the dark.
Oh, my writing's horrible. I have chicken scratch. I just have to remember what I wrote.
Yeah, so I don't think that's for me. So just try to keep the review to the things I like and dislike, and make it seem like I'm talking to the person. Or if I like this, this is why. If I don't, this is why.
Yeah,
just
so
plain and simple.
I think that's what we both aim for, is just to kind of keep it personal. Though we might go about it different, we just want to make sure that it's very personal.
What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
JamesShoe.com.
And we have one of the biggest films, hopefully, that's going to come out this year for the summer.
Absolutely. A fourth installment in the franchise. Mad Max was originally introduced to us when it was played by Mel Gibson in 1979 in a very small Australian movie that no one thought would do really well. Ended up being a huge juggernaut. Well, I wouldn't say juggernaut, but a huge movie in the box office.
Big cult following.
Let's say, hey, let's make some more. They ended up making Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, which is more of an infamous movie to go to, and then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And Beyond Thunderdome wasn't as praised by fans, didn't make as much money, but Roger Ebert went down saying it was the best movie in the Mad Max trilogy. Great movies, about this cynical drifter who was once a kind of cop during the dystopian future, that we never really get to explain why it's a dystopian future. We don't really know what happened to the world, but eventually, just a great, fun movie, and I'm excited. I mean, it's been 35 years since the original around that time period, and George Miller, the original writer and director, has come back to tell this story starring Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. What are your thoughts going into this?
Honestly, I don't have too much to say because I've never seen part 1, part 2. Carl Janet. I've never seen part 1, part 2, part 3, and then I know that Mel Gibson really got his start with his fame in this movie.
Yeah, I think this was his second actual movie, but this is the movie that really put him on the map.
Or from what I'm hearing from all the peoples. And then I also know that when the first one came out, they actually dubbed all the Australians' voices because back then, if it was...
I watched it the other night. Like, I was showing Samantha this, and
the dubbed version or the original version?
I believe we watched the original version, but I mean, it's still, it's really hard to hear them, so I don't watch it with subtitles because I'm like, wait, what? But I mean, it's not a movie you really need to pay attention to all of what they're saying, because a lot of what they're saying isn't actual words anyway. It's just kind of awesome talk.
So I wasn't expecting much out of this movie, but when the first trailer dropped, man, it looks weird. Like, I don't know what to expect. All I know is it looks crazy. All the reviews, all the people that have been coming out have been saying it's pretty good. Rotten Tomatoes right now is like 98 or something.
99%.
90. I mean.
Still,
granted though, I mean, it is premiere night, and that's still really high, because at this point, I would expect it to fall a couple points.
Well, you know what's surprising is usually not many people get their reviews out this early, but this was a movie that they really made sure critics saw in advance to really take time.
They were confident.
So, I mean, it was certified fresh yesterday, which doesn't really happen usually until the day or so afterwards. And I mean, I believe right now there's like 125, 130 reviews already on this movie.
Oh, that's a lot.
So, I mean, it's pretty certain that it's not going to really drop from that 90.
All right.
Not, at least at high 90 spot. lot.
That's awesome.
So I don't know. I'm excited. There's, you have every reason to like it. You have Tom Hardy, who I'm a
Bane,
huge fan of.
Hello. Warrior. Hello.
Lawless.
Hello.
Legend. The new movie.
Hello.
You have Charlize Theron.
Banging.
And I'm totally kicking myself because I can't remember the name, but the actual original villain.
Yeah, is the new bad guy.
Is the new bad guy.
Yeah, which is
and
cool.
I didn't know that until I was actually writing my review for this movie. So it was pretty awesome. We also have some other
Rosie.
people. Yeah, we have
Transformers 4.
Nicholas Holst, I believe.
Hey.
Who was in Warm Bodies, was Jennifer Lawrence's ex-boyfriend's in this. So there's a lot to look forward to. I don't know what this movie's really about.
Neither do I.
I don't know how it's going to place itself in the Mad Max universe.
It's supposed to be after 2 before 3.
See, I guess I could kind of believe that.
But also they said that if you know nothing like me, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I've heard it's a very much standalone movie, so hopefully they do that. But I don't know. Is this 1979 story about this, cynical cop worth retelling?
I don't even know what it's
Miller?
about.
I'm in, though.
All right, let's see how
2 hours.
2 hours? Let's see how it is.
Let's go.
All right, so we just got out of Mad Max Fury Road in tradition of ChasingCinema.com. I'm going to go first. My God. Oh my gosh. My God, bro. What a lovely movie. Oh my gosh, bro. Bro, do not miss this movie. For all the good of Loving Universe, do yourself a favor. Do not miss Mad Max Fury Road. This movie is not only absolutely beautiful, breathtaking. There's this guy on his electric guitar. He won't stop. For the life of him, he won't stop. People are dying. He won't stop. There's literally nothing that I didn't like. The opening scene is like 6 or 7 minutes. Just gets you fueled up. They take like a 30-second break, and then here we go again. And like, for real, this movie, and then the music in the background, the score
from Junkie XL,
unbelievable. And then Junkie XL is doing Batman v Superman, or Batman's theme.
Okay.
For anyway. This movie, for real, dude. I don't even know what else to say. It is like your eyegasm. This movie, the entire time, is full throttle. You're in how many gears does a Lambo have?
6.
You're going like 8 gears. You're like 10 gears in, full force. You're going ham. It's bam. This movie.
You're not even driving a Lamborghini. You're driving a war rig.
Yeah, you are in a roar rig. Like, this movie was so much fun. I mean, I can see why certain people don't like it, because it is just over the top, and I never understood. I finally understand when people say that if you've seen Star Wars 4, 5, 6, and then you watch the new ones, it's too much CG, there's no practical effects, and in Episode 7 they have to do practical effects. This movie was like 99% all practical effects, other than Charlize Theron's robotic arm and some of the sandstorms. Is that what that would be?
Yeah, I believe so.
Other than that, you can see these practical effects, and it is just a complete circus. This movie is a complete Andy Serkis, crazy. I loved it, bro. Holy crap, best movie of the year. Better than Avengers. I love Avengers. I loved Avengers Age of Ultron. This movie, so far for me, is the best movie of the year. Hands down, hands up. I can't say enough about this movie, bro. I am so jacked right now.
One of the most frequent questions I get as a critic is, it's usually by older people when they realize what I do and they want to talk about, film, and especially they want to talk about older cinema when they realize that was kind of my specialty. And they say, why isn't there anything original anymore? I challenge you to come see Mad Max Fury Road, because not only is this the best Mad Max movie made, best Mad Max movie in the series, it doesn't matter that you haven't seen the other three, because this one's better than all of them by far. And I don't mean to disrespect the original trilogy, because they were solid, but this is something unlike anything I've seen before. Not only is it that, not only is it the best movie I've seen this year that makes Avengers look, I don't even want to talk about it. And it is honestly one of the greatest action movies I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Guys, Mad Max Fury Road is unbelievable. It is something that, like I said, it is something you've never experienced before. You are on the edge of your seat.
Gosh.
The entire 2 hours, from great performances and a visual style that is so memorable. I saw this movie on Wednesday morning. It's still embedded in my head. The images, the characters, the beautiful shots. I mean, the way they tell you night and day, the certain style and the world that you're brought into. George Miller.
The world, bro. Oh my God.
George Miller, not many people know this, after Mad Max, directed Babe, Pig in the City. And that Happy Feet 1 and 2, and this guy did this. He is honestly one of the most underrated directors of all time if he has the ability to do that. This movie not only brings you action sequences that are breathtaking. Okay, mind you, I'm not going to get to the cars and the vehicle manslaughter that happens in this movie.
So good.
The first fight sequence we have between Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron is intense, and you're going to pick your jaw up off the floor because of how awesome it is, and you don't even know what you're in store for. I walked into this movie expecting a fun ride. I got out, walking out of this movie, realizing I just saw something that will probably stay with me forever. In those 2 hours, I've experienced something that I've not experienced in the long, and probably ever, in an action movie. I turned into the 7-year-old kid who was rooting in an action movie. I felt like I was experiencing cinema for like the first time in that movie. I was just overcome by joy and excitement. I mean, my heart was pumping. It was so exhilarating. I can't talk enough about this movie. This movie moved me on levels beyond even understanding of just how good it made me feel, how much I'm glad that I'm a movie lover. You know, this movie is not only an ode to, to cinema in general, but I mean, it really shows you what the action genre is capable of. So when people say, "Oh, they're action movies," just kind of throw them off. Granted, we've had a lot of bad action movies, but you watch this, you should change your tone about everything. Unreal. I mean, oh my God, the world, the characters, every character, costume design, the design of the whole entire production. I mean, we had villains the three main villains. I mean, the guy with the nipple piercings. I mean, just his outfit, the nose. I mean, all that creativity, all that freshness. I mean, I felt like I was watching. Oh, I can't even go. Like, just something so different. I was like, where has this been? The past 10 years. When people say there's nothing original, there's nothing fun. I challenge anyone to watch George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road, and I would be shocked to tell me if you didn't like it. I know you said you can understand why some people don't like it. I couldn't, because there's nothing not to like in this movie. I've heard little pickets at the movie that maybe the plot isn't super heavy. To be honest, I think I totally disagree. I think there is a solid plot here. I think it's also a great fact that we have finally a great action movie that not only has a strong female, but multiple strong female leads.
Man. Oh my gosh.
That's
who's making a name for herself too is Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah,
because she's in the Divergent series. She was in Divergent. She was in an independent film too that just came out. But anyway, I'm loving her right now.
And I'm really going in the direction, because from what I've been hearing, the next Mad Max is going to be called Mad Max Furiosa, which is going to follow Charlize Theron.
So
but I mean, like,
she's so BA, bro.
There's a test. I always forget the name of it, but there's a test you actually apply to every movie to see if there's a strong female character in it. This movie hands you multiple, and they're finally giving someone to look. Okay, we've had Mad Max, who's a male, and I'm not saying we have to like it because of the woman, but the fact that we are given this woman who is determined to do something good, she's determined to help someone, and she's just badass. I mean, that's unreal. This movie is unreal. That's the best way to describe it.
4 out of 4.
Simply put, this movie, 4 out of 4. It's the first 4 out of 4 that I'm going to do about this year. I could probably guarantee you this is going to stay on my top 10 for the rest of the year, because
100%.
I highly doubt nothing is going to come close to this. I told James...
Everything else is like sequels. Nothing wrong with that.
It is sequels, yeah, and they could be good. We reviewed Pitch Perfect today. You can check it out on the YouTube channel. But I mean, when you watch Pitch Perfect, which is all right, and you come see something like this, I mean, it
mind blown.
Seriously.
Blown.
To be honest, and I'm sure I'm going to bother some people when I say this, I've enjoyed this movie probably more than I've enjoyed every single Marvel movie. I enjoyed this movie more than any other Fast and Furious movie. I mean, this movie is something of another breed, and I hope, we talked about it. Sequels are coming. This movie's going to.
They said as long as this movie makes money, and I can't imagine with this word of mouth that's going to come from. Okay, you have the Rotten Tomatoes on your side. Every film critic that I know, that I either personally know or I literally stalk on YouTube and stuff, everyone, JoeBlow.com, like everyone is giving. I can't imagine this word of mouth not doing what it's supposed to do. And supposedly, Tom Hardy's signed on for 2, 3, and 4. Dude, I'm ready to visit this world as many times as you want me to visit. And the crazy part is we've only seen the world. What's the world called? Where they're at, whatever that land is, and we've only seen like certain. That's aspects, all we've seen in this movie. Get ready, dude.
That's another thing is not many people can make a desert wasteland as beautiful as it was.
Oh my gosh, I mean, bro, the scenes, the cinematic
not
scenes.
Only visual style, the score, and like I said, the score by Junkie XL, unreal. That music. unreal. And I mean,
I love the guitar player, bro.
I mean, you're even the guitar. Oh my god! And it's like as cheesy as that may sound to someone like you, when you're watching it, it is so believable. It is so intense, you know. And then the best payoff of that is when the end when they're kind of like fighting around him and he's still trying to play.
Okay, there's people dying. This isn't a spoiler. People are dying, and this guy's just trying to get his guitar to keep on playing.
And I'm not going to credit myself with this, but a lot of fellow critics said this movie was like Monster Trucks meets Cirque du Soleil. And that's the truest thing ever.
Yes.
I'm not going to take credit because I didn't say that.
Totally art.
But I mean,
totally.
There's one point in this movie where characters are on these I don't know what you'd call them, javelin type thing. Not javelin.
I loved it.
But they're on cars and they're flying, and it's just like this is the most creative thing I've ever seen. Honestly, it is a mind-blowing movie. Please don't wait for Redbox or DVD because you're iffy about this movie. You need to experience George Miller's masterpiece in theaters.
But it has to be in theater.
And you know what?
If you have to sneak into the theater, do that.
We just came from CinemaCon, which is a whole entire convention dedicated to movie theaters, and why we should still watch movies in movie theaters. Most of the time, I understand why because I'm a movie critic, but this movie is a statement of why you need to see movies in a movie theater. This is one of the most unreal experiences you'll go on, and I've ever gone on in my entire movie journey, and you know how many movies I've journeyed through. This is something so unreal. I mean, I can't even go on to say. It will simply drive you mad.
Bam. I watch 80 films a year. This man watches probably 300, 400 films a year. Guys, do not. We're not getting paid to say this. I'm just saying, do not miss this film. Oh my gosh, bro. Mind blown. I could go off still. I'm just so jacked up.
If George Miller and all them recruited me to just talk about this movie, I wouldn't even accept a dime. I would just say, give me, let me see this movie again and again, and then I will advocate it as much as you want. But no, like James said, the thing is like this is a movie that I was so excited to write about because I just wanted to share how amazing this experience was. But no matter what I write, this is something you just need to experience. Trust me, if you want to see something that literally puts you on the edge of your seat, put your jaw on the floor and has you clenching your armrests because there's not a moment to spare. They say, oh, that's a good moment to go to the restroom in, or that's a moment where it kind of slows. That doesn't happen in this movie. Even the slow moments are exciting and exhilarating. I mean, they're unreal. I can't even.
Shirley, I know there are some people that doubt Charlize Theron. There are people that are like, I don't know if she can be an action star, because she showed a little bit of that grit with Will Smith in the superhero film. Hancock, right? And if there are any haters on Charlize Theron, you watch this film, you will shut up. I can't even believe she's not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the DC Universe.
And what's really great is, Tom Hardy does a great Mad Max. He says very little. Man of actions. Yeah, man of actions. And, Tom Hardy plays him great, but the movie really does a great job. It's kind of pointing us to the fact that this may be not as much Max's story anymore. He just kind of falls into the situation. But, I mean, every character delivers a solid performance. Everything is just, people aren't recognizable in this movie. It's not Charlize Theron. It's not Tom Hardy. It's not Nicholas Hoult. It is people. It are these characters that you've never really seen, and you believe that these are characters. They're not other people. I don't have one negative thing to say about this movie. Even if I did, it wouldn't matter because of how great and how amazing. This movie's so
over the top. I loved it all. I loved this movie.
If you were iffy about it, if you weren't going to see it, stop what you're thinking. Just trust us. If you don't like it, you can write us, and me and James will split your price of admission.
What is it, $5 each? I'll send you $5.
But you need to tell me why you didn't like it and make a solid case.
My number is the easiest number to find online.
It's true.
My personal phone number.
You let us know. I will pay your time.
I will pay your $5. You will come up. This movie is completely over the top. Just 4 out of 4. 4 stars.
Perfect movie.
It's just absolutely stunning. ChasingSimon.com/
Mad Max.
Full-on review written by
myself,
Jacob R. Toronto, and you're gonna be able to. If you can't genuinely feel our excitement for this film, read what he says about it because you actually get to think about it. And
I try to break it down as best as I can, but that's a movie that's so hard to explain how amazing it is in 600 words.
We just got out. It's 3 a.m. It doesn't even matter.
No, I'm so pumped up.
I cannot wait.
Amazing.
There's a lot of movies I get jacked about, but this one I have to see in the theater. Minimum one more. Minimum.
Oh, easy.
Minimum.
And you know me. I love movies, but it is really hard to go out of my way to go see movies more than once in theaters, and I've done it a few times. this is one I plan on seeing probably 1 or 2 more times in theaters because I want to experience as much as I can before it leaves.
Guys, and also when you watch it, make sure you watch it with the crowd. Like, watch it at nighttime. If you can't go late, 7, 8 o'clock when there's people, you will feel the energy. And when you see the guy on the guitar, and then you see these people on these drums, and it is going full speed ahead.
The vehicles they created, the weapons they created, everything is so unreal. The characters, absolutely beautiful. Guys, go check it out. It's amazing. It's simply unreal. Curse word real.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow my man. How many videos a day? 5 videos a day this man puts out. 5 videos a day. 5 videos a day. Don't miss it. ChaseSinema.com. You want to know anything in the movie world, movie news, when you want to hear about Mad Max, Furiosa, if that's what it's going to be called, whatever it's going to be called, when you follow ChaseSinema.com, you're literally going to be kept up to date with everything in the cinematic world of movies.
Yep. Today we talked about the Supergirl trailer for the first look at Supergirl.
6 minutes.
As well as Legends of Tomorrow, the new DC show.
Yep.
So all that is available at the YouTube channel, so make sure to go check that out. But before you do any of that, go see the Fury Road.
And if you haven't seen Pitch Perfect, we back pitches. Be sure to check out that review that's already online. If you're watching this, it's already online because we on it, yo.
Just go see Mad Max. Stop.
In 7 days from today, we're watching
Tomorrowland and the Poltergeist.
Bro.
And you know what? Like, here's the thing though. Me and our dear friend Kent were talking. Like, no matter what I was looking forward to, I'm afraid for now because I don't know how. I mean, I hope Tomorrowland's great, and I'm going to be rooting for it because that movie sounds awesome. George Clooney,
it looks awesome.
Brett Robertson, but dude, you follow
Mad Max
that?
is too intense. It's so
that?
intense.
I'm honestly, oh my.
A lot of movies, especially during the summer movie season, will get forgotten because there's just so much stuff coming out. I would be so shocked if this movie isn't just. I'm not gonna. I heard that this movie's not gonna beat Pitch Perfect for opening weekend, but 100% I know, 100% I have so much confidence in this movie, that it will have legs. The word of mouth for this movie, we're not BSing. The word of mouth for this film the legs that this film is gonna have is just gonna carry week by week by week because people are gonna be tearing their head off.
This is a movie that I think is going to be in conversation for a long time. And I know as shocking as it is, and again, I'm not trying to kind of hate on the superhero universe, but Marvel Avengers has already kind of lost its steam with people being excited and talking about it. I haven't had many people bring it up, but I've had 112 people ask me about this movie, and I'm so glad that I can finally tell them, go see it. I mean, honestly, thank you for watching, but why are you still here? Go see Mad Max.
Fury Road. And don't forget, Chasing Cinema is the
Film Lovers website.